Welcome to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Southeast Termite and Pest Control. They are offering a new service to keep varmints and bugs out of your home, as well as to protect your home from water intrusion and humidity in crawl spaces, which is a huge problem in East Tennessee. It's so humid around here that can really damage your home if it gets into the crawl space and comes up through the vents. Ask them about their crawl space encapsulation plans. Better for your home in so many ways, not to mention the fact that your home wouldn't look like the home on the left, it will look like the home on the right, which, you know, it's the difference between the Amityville Horror and, you know, a home, a crawl space. They do a great job. Southeast Termite and Pest Control, whether it's mosquito control, important right now, ant eradication, or crawl space encapsulation, or the wildlife division. Check them out online, southeasttermite.com. They've been doing this since 1971. Good, local, family-owned business, Southeast Termite and Pest Control. All right, the NFL schedule release day has become a holiday, as I mentioned in our tease, like just about everything else associated with the NFL. It's amazing. Anything NFL is like the whole nation stops and watches. Draft, schedule release. Tons of free media coverage. Everybody's talking about this. I mean, talk shows all over the country talking about it. Everybody's writing about it. Last summer, the SEC did this when they shook up their schedule for COVID and got a ton of coverage when the SEC network showed the schedule. It was big. We said at the time, I wish they could do this every year because games were moved around. You shook it up. That's just fun. The SEC, you can keep with the rotation of you predetermined who you're going to play. The NFL is predetermined. You know who you're going to play. It's just everybody's excited to see when they line up. Is your schedule easy early and tough late, or vice versa? Do you get teams coming off an open date or not? All this kind of stuff. Do you think the SEC should do this with their conference games? Granted, you'd have to make it to where SEC teams all open with 3 non-conference games and end with a non-conference game or something like that to keep the weeks open so you could do it. But if you were the head of the SEC, would you be pushing to get that pub and excitement, or do you like it as is?
I would absolutely push for change to the schedule and the way it's put out. I will say I'm a sports talk radio host, so that would be free content for us. So yeah, so I need that disclaimer. But if you're Greg Sankey, if you're the SEC league office, you're looking at the interest that was created. There was freak out. Remember the freak out with the schedule?
Teams were upset and others were happy.
Right.
And,
yeah, and that's great for sports business. So I would be in favor of it.
I would be too. Here's the caveat is that last year was a little special situation, right? Yeah. Because it was all SEC schedule. So now you have interest and a lot more intrigue on every week. Now with everyone playing group of fives and a lot more non-conference going back to normal, I think that would take away from it a little bit. You wouldn't have quite as much excitement. Last year was a really special situation, so I think that was heightened. But I do think it would help. It would enhance it. And then you can find the best matchups and do it and have that flexibility. I'm big on that in addition to announcing it.
Yeah, I guess, John, the short answer is yes. But from Greg Sankey's perspective, does he look at this and say, if it isn't broke, what are we trying to fix? We already have the #1 football conference in the country, right? And what does the TV people say? Would they still go along with it?
But I think the SEC network would love it.
But from a fan perspective, yes, I think it would be awesome because even the NFL was brilliant in letting stuff so-called leak out along the way, where you knew the Patriots schedule early. Yeah. And I think it would be really cool.
I'm surprised that you specifically, you're the big fan on the group, I'm surprised that you didn't point out, well, Tennessee, Alabama has to be third Saturday and Tennessee, Vandy has to be the end. Because you'd have some people saying, well, Auburn, Georgia has to be played here. And Alabama, I mean, you could you could lock in your end of the year stuff to where Tennessee, Vandy, the Iron Bowl, everybody picks a conference mate to play in the last SEC week. But I like the idea of playing these guys whenever. I like the idea that Alabama could come in here in September, or you could go there in November. You don't play them on the third Saturday half the time anyway. It's fourth Saturday.
Right. Yeah. One specific small example that you could just expand out would be when Tennessee, Georgia was moved around here in the last couple of years. Right. And again, last year's schedule ended up being changed because of COVID. But I saw a lot of excitement about, okay, let's see, November gets a little more interesting, hoping that Tennessee would make a jump, of course. But that's just one game. So imagine the entire schedule is shuffled and you have more to talk about for every team.
And there was excitement with Florida going to the end of the year as well.
Yeah.
Because, typically you have to play them at the beginning of the
Right.
year. Now we have a better chance. They have to come to a cold weather environment. So I think overall it's a positive for Tennessee fans.
And I like the idea that every fan base would feel that they're getting screwed.
Yeah.
So how come we have to play here? And they would all think Alabama's getting the best. How Alabama and LSU are getting taken care of. I just think that would be more fun if we're all sitting there and it's unveiled and it's like, oh wow, look, you see where LSU's got it tough early, but late they
Well,
do.
it's
Whereas
almost
Alabama,
like the
I love that.
NCAA tournament, announcement
Yes,
show.
exactly.
That's what you would have.
Yeah,
you
but
know.
do you think there would be much? Is there room in this world, a world that no longer has Oklahoma, Nebraska, no longer has Texas A&M? Is there enough griping about? But we have to play on the 2nd September like we always have. I just, in this day and age, I don't even consider that a factor. That'd be a nice thing to keep, but not a big deal if it made the schedule more interesting overall.
And it's part of the joy of sports, right? Is looking at scenarios and what ifs and
Yes.
things like that. And a lot of times at the beginning of the year, we're not always right. I mean, look at all the talk about Arkansas' schedule. And they had a pretty decent year. Missouri's getting screwed. Well, they had a decent year too. So never know.
Yeah, and Tennessee set up nicely,
Yeah.
we thought at the time.
Well, why do we always have to play Florida in September anyway?
Yeah, Tennessee always started with a tough schedule and ended easy. And by the take was, and back when Tennessee was good, the take was, well, if we can only play these good teams later because we're rolling late, well, you're rolling because you're playing the crap of the league.
Yeah.
If you flipped it, you probably would have been the opposite. Same
Yeah,
record.
so
but
those complaints are tired. We need new complaints for the fans to come up with.
I would love to see the SEC shake up their schedule every year to where Kentucky could be November, October, September, just mix them up. All right, when we come back, Tennessee has mixed up its season opener. They moved it from Saturday to Thursday. Was that a good move? We'll discuss. Come on back.